It's time for today's Face-Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Welcome to the Noon and Bianca Peters. That decision came down during Mangione's first court appearance since February. And that's not all we learned today. Let's get right into Fox 5's Lisa Evers to break all of this down for us. Lisa, we know that you were also there inside of the courthouse when this all happened this morning.
Yes, I was, Bianca. I was there in that packed courtroom here at Manhattan Criminal Court for accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione. He actually got some good news, the judge throwing out the most serious charges he was facing, but let more than half a dozen other charges stand. Now, the 27-year-old Luigi Mangione was escorted into the packed courtroom by about a half a dozen court officers. He was wearing the standard tan inmate uniform, looking like he hasn't had a good night's sleep in a very long time. His hair wasn't combed like we saw in past appearances. He was handcuffed with a chain around his waist and shackled at his ankles. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg had charged him with first-degree and second-degree murder as acts of terrorism and other crimes for the deadly shooting last December of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Judge Gregory Caro ruled that the mere fact that the murder appeared to be motivated by ideology did not qualify it for the more serious first and second-degree murder by terrorism charges. He is now facing second-degree murder, weapons, and about half a dozen other charges. Outside the courthouse, some of his fans and supporters showed up to support the 27-year-old Ivy League graduate who has a cult following. The Manhattan DA's office issued a statement saying, quote, "We respect the court's decision and will proceed on the remaining counts." Now, we're joined right now by prominent criminal defense attorney and legal commentator Arthur Aidala. And Arthur, was this a good day for him?
Well, it's relative, but I just read the court's 12-page opinion. It's very, very well done. As you know, Lisa, Judge Caro is he's a real veteran of this courthouse. He's been here a long time. He followed his own father's footsteps in this courthouse.
In this round, here's Quan LX.
Well, Charles, the Manhattan shooter, Mr. Luigi Mangione, reminds me of one of the names, Maggiano, one of the 5 families in New York City, went to court now here recently, and some of the most serious charges, a veteran judge decided to dismiss some of those charges. To be honest with you, I don't condone the killing of any human being. All life is sacred. No innocent person should be gunned down, as the victim in this case was the CEO of the healthcare company that the gentleman worked for. But, and you look at the facts of the case, Mr. Maggiano, to many, is a hero. The reporter said in the story he has a cult-like following. I believe he has a following of many men and women in this country who have been the victims of some of the most heinous crimes committed against them by insurance companies. Many of these people faithfully pay these healthcare premiums every month, faithfully. But when it comes time to use those healthcare benefits, insurance companies, like this one particular company this CEO worked for, would have just AI do blanket denials, no matter what the reason is, no matter how desperate the medical procedure was needed. People would die, children would die, elderly people have died because they can't receive proper medical treatment because of corrupt CEOs, like I believe this man was. So I'm happy that some of those charges were dismissed. And I don't see him as a cold-blooded killer. In the long term and in the long run, I believe that history will show this man stood up for millions who have been victimized by a corrupt system.
All right. I mean, let's be honest. Initially, just yesterday or the day before, you were calling for Black people to use violence generally to, achieve ideological goals. So the fact that you don't
police execution
again, the suggestion that you don't advocate for violence and aren't part of this huge problem swirling around America right now is absolutely dishonest. You're talking about Brian Thompson. It was United Healthcare that he was the chief executive of. Luigi Mangione. I don't know how you pronounce the name. is not this glorifying this and saying, oh, one of the 5 families, as if the Cosa Nostra or the mafia is something praiseworthy. No, they were awful. They targeted their own people largely. They started by oppressing Italians and forcing them to pay protection money, and it was they're evil institutions. And I'm not shocked that you would take this and try to put lipstick on a pig. But it was a cold-blooded murder. He walked up behind a man walking down a street and shot him in the back of the head. It was absolutely monstrous. He did it because he's crazy, right? And you have all these idiots out there, and they're Luigi from Nintendo's, Mario and Luigi, acting like this is a celebratory event. This is a very serious judge, and what happened here today was that this judge felt like the state failed to establish the requisite intent, or a showing of the intent, which would be to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, or to influence a policy of a unit of government. Now, I think they can absolutely do that, right? I think that they can establish that that Luigi was trying to force a change in American healthcare policy through an act of terror, which, the worst type of terror, murder. I don't think it was fair for the judge to dismiss it. I think it took a lot of the consequence off the table for him, although he's still charged with second-degree murder and a host of other crimes, as the legal pundit explained to Miss Edwards, a wonderful on-the-scene reporter there in New York. I don't think we should be glorifying any of this. I think we have a real problem in America right now, where we have a great number of people acting like if violence aligns ideologically with what they agree with, then it's okay. And that also, on the flip side, that advocating or even implementing policies that people disagree with, that's not okay, and that constitutes violence. You were talking about, Brian Thompson, as the CEO of a publicly traded corporation, has an obligation to his stockholders imposed by law to try to maximize value. Now, I think that sucks personally. I think in America, we should have a baseline of health care that is available for all American citizens, not illegals, not even immigrants that don't pay a fee. Let's say you go to the United Kingdom as a student, right? You have to pay, because when my son was going to the London School of Economics, I had to pay a fee for him to participate in their nationalized healthcare system, which you wait years and years to get appointments and stuff. Now, that's not true for people that illegally enter. They get better healthcare than citizens because the UK has lost the plot. But I think we could do more in America, right? Healthcare wise, and I think we've made policy decisions that are bad, and United Healthcare made some bad policy decisions. I don't think any of them were criminal, but because Mr. Thompson placed the value to shareholders over the value to the people that paid him for insurance. A lot of it is driven by bad public policy on your ability to bring first-party claims because of ERISA and other things. But again, we shouldn't be advocating for killing people in the streets, right? Which you are, again, doing while saying you're not doing, in this kind of flat circle conundrum of nonsense, right? If you want to change policies, we need to have more advocacy. If you want a better health insurer, right? Because United's a private health insurer, go get different health insurance, right? But to say that it's somehow he's a hero, it's disgusting. Now, legally, go ahead, sure.
So let me point something out.
Please.
How can you call Mr. Mangione a murderer and say that Mr. Thompson is not one? Mr. Thompson had a blanket system in place where artificial intelligence were denying claims of people who had legitimate health care needs.
You're a constant liar. Okay.
He had legitimate needs.
Apparently, they employed.
This man was denying people who had cancer,
they were not
who had
blanket
diseases,
claims.
and they were blanket claims being denied by AI,
again,
put in place by this man, Mr.
Seems
Thompson.
to me like
how many people gone to the early grave because of these corrupt healthcare systems? How many healthcare systems
there's tons of people that die in America
who need cancer
because they don't have
and
health
can't get
care
cancer
available
treatment?
through them.
Brian Thomas was a killer because he wanted to enrich his stockholders. Brian Thomas was a murderer because he put wealth before health. Brian Thomas was a murderer because he made sure that people who needed desperate medical needs and attention and procedures couldn't get it to enrich his stockholders. So to hell with any CEO in America that would do that to the American people.
Okay, again, right? You like, great job yelling, great job lying. You did both the things you do very well, very well. But here's the thing: we have decided in America that private coverage only, except if you're really, really, really poor or disabled, then maybe you can get, or you hit a certain age limit, then you have these blended things. But we do have very good health care in America. In fact, the health care available to most of the insureds by United is far, far superior to what people experience all around the world, including like Canada and the UK, where they have socialized medicine, but yet you have to wait years to get any sort of testing. You have a tremendous number of people that die from very preventable diseases, very, very simple types of cancer that can't get treatment in socialized systems because they, as a nation, decided that was more important. We, as a nation, decided privatized for-profit healthcare is the way to go. And it's why the rich have the best healthcare in the world in America. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As a nation, politicians, corrupt politicians in this nation on the payroll of major insurance companies and healthcare systems, they are the ones who made that decision. We, the American people, did not make these decisions.
Well,
and that's why our politicians have been bought and paid for. And the same politicians that
both Hillary Clinton
this company's behavior
and Barack
got
Obama
the best health care in America. They got the best health care. Their families got the best health care. But if your wife, your children, your daughter, your son had been treated the same way that many others in this country have been treated by this man, Mr. Thomas's company, and God forbid they didn't survive it because this man's blanket AI denials and they needed that treatment, how in the hell would you feel?
They weren't blanket AI denials.
You would talk.
I had United Healthcare for a very long time. I didn't think it was very good, so I switched to a different health insurer, right? That's what I did.
But everybody can't do that,
competent adult, right? That had a job that worked 60 hours a week. And I think right now, just for me and my wife, I think I'm paying like $2,700 a month for my healthcare, or just for the insurance. It's insane. With a deductible still, it's all crazy, right? But that is how it works in America, right? And until the government
hold on,
I'm talking.
America needs to change.
When Hillary Clinton was the first lady,
America, the politicians
encouraged her husband and worked. Her policy was try to implement fully socialized medicine in the United States. Bernie Sanders has been an advocate for fully socialized medicine, which I disagree with. I think we need a hybrid blend that's smarter. We're supposed to do great things in this country, and we haven't done great things in a very, very long time. When Barack Obama originally, Obamacare was originally supposed to be fully socialized medicine, but again, both with Clinton's plan, Hillary Clinton's plan in the 90s, and Obama's plan in the late 2000s and the 2010s, the aughts and the tens, there was a political pushback. And there was overwhelming support electorally for that political pushback to reject it, right? So when you say it's not a Republican form of democracy, and I mean that we're in a republic, not Republicans versus Democrats, that has pushback on this, they have, right? And there is some valid reason. There's a reason people travel to the United States for healthcare, because if you can access it, it's better. And United Healthcare just let a number of people access healthcare that's much better than 98% of the world, right? Now, there are better plans here in this country. But what you're doing is when you say blanket AI denials, no, they were using AI to evaluate claims, right? This is just you.
And they programmed the AI to make blanket denials based on certain claims.
Justifying violence. And this point in America right now, right? If you turn on any station, it's all the left-wing craziness. And I've been a liberal all my life. Let's be very clear. I was a Democrat at 90% of my life and still consider myself a liberal, but I realize that the Democrats have lost the damn plot, right? And when they're going on about how Christian conservative white men represent the biggest danger to America and we've got to use violence to stop them, it's just
and
lies.
We got white
you're not looking for
in America that's saying people dying and people being murdered is the cost of the price of the Second
Amendment. When you go to an ATM,
so don't say Republicans,
when you go to an ATM on Scott Street after you leave a University of Houston game, right? Are you looking over your shoulder for a conservative white male to rob you and shoot you? No, right?
I was not in a conservative white male or white area. The school sits in a predominantly historically black community.
Okay.
Ask me that same question if I was sitting in a hillbilly
are you
neighborhood full of
worried about a
methamphetamine heads.
conservative white male coming to get you and rob you and kill you?
If I was
No,
in a
you're
hillbilly
not,
neighborhood
right?
with a bunch of
stop
methamphetamine heads, I would
lying.
say that would be different.
Stop lying. And this Brian Thompson, yeah, I think United has some bad policies, right?
He was a killer.
He wasn't a killer. And you're a monster for saying it. And that's the problem.
That's what he was.
So many people are given a pass to get on a microphone and advocate for evil violence.
When you
and
got
no
blanket denials, sending people to their graveyards, you letting babies go without cancer treatment, you letting babies and children not get transplants that they need, you letting men's wives and women's husbands die.
I know you're just making this stuff up because this is what
insurance
you do,
companies
but
do.
Please,
that's what these big healthcare systems do. They put
my insurance company just paid for me to get a full knee replacement.
More important, and money is more important than the health of the American people. We put wealth before health in America, sir.
Well, a lot of people put fast food and other things before health as well. I do think we have some bad health insurance companies. I do think that United Healthcare had some bad policies.
So you had one killer.
With the suggestion that you solve things by killing people, because you come on this microphone.
You had one killer who killed another.
Day before yesterday, you were crying about a felon running while intoxicated, most likely. That's what they're saying. A car chase, got in a wreck with a completely innocent person. Got in a wreck with a completely innocent person, wrecked into their car, fleeing from police, jumped out of the car, threw a gun, attacked the officer.
Allegedly threw a gun.
No. He told his son to go get his gun back so he could kill the officer. He literally told the cop to go get them. I mean, really told his son to go get the gun he threw. Right? He did all of this, and you're crying for them. But yet 2 days later, you're celebrating because a chief executive officer of a publicly traded company got gunned down on a Manhattan street.
A chief executive officer who is a murderer and a killer. You just got him sanitized and cleaned up.
Who did? I get that you make stuff up, right? It makes the show interesting.
You just got him sanitized and cleaned up.
Okay.
All because
who did he murder?
Enriching
one
the
name.
richest
one name. Tell me one person that he murdered.
Stockholders are some of the richest people in America in these
it's a publicly traded company, so there's a bunch of anybody can invest in it. You can invest in it.
Sent people to their grave, and I would say this:
who?
Watch him go to trial. When this man goes to trial, I think the results of that jury's decision gonna be a shock.
Okay.
Watch.
Well, if Alvin Bragg's office does a good job, and they don't, it's one of the most in a city that is filled with incredible lawyers. Alvin Bragg has made a mark for mediocrity and failure. Right? He's probably arguably the worst major city district attorney in the country. His day one memo about not prosecuting robberies if they had just involved knives and not guns is still just it's awful to read. Him saying that everyone, including murderers and child molesters, the default should be not incarceration is insane, right? He had to back off it because people were so outraged. But he is somewhat of a human stain, and he has led to a lot of death by creating this revolving door for violent criminals in New York. But I won't be surprised.
More than Mr. Thomas.
But there's another important part of the judge's ruling today. So there was two arguments. One, that the defense attorney won, right? He won and got the terrorism charge because the judge felt like they couldn't establish the requisite intent. He got that dismissed. Another one he lost is the defense counsel argued double jeopardy because of the prosecutions on the federal level that are going simultaneously. The judge appropriately made the very well settled ruling that it's a separate sovereign and that, frankly, absolutely they can prosecute both. So when Alvin Bragg does crap the bed on it, rest assured, I think the U.S. Attorney's Office will get it, and Mangione's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. But if Bragg did a good job, he would do an effective job during voir dire, or they call it voir dire, there in New York, and that's jury selection. It's really jury deselection, and they wouldn't let any radicals get on the jury. Now, it's going to be hard to find because there are a bunch of radical idiots in New York City that seem to both hate crime and love crime, kind of like you. But, I mean, we'll see what happens.
If Bragg was smart, what he would do is punt this hot football. Let the feds prosecute first. and say we'll determine after that prosecution if we'll move forward with the state prosecution. That's
If
what
Bragg
he
was
should
a coward, he would do this. He is supposed to be the
he should give it to the feds and let the feds move forward with their prosecution, and then he makes his decision what he would do from there. That's
that
what
would be absolute cowardice, and I don't expect
That's exactly
that.
what he should do. Because remember,
security
now on the state level, he's not facing the death penalty charge. But on the federal level, they've already said they're going to go after him for the death penalty charge.
And you know,
so why would you not defer that to the court with the supreme power and who's weighing a more severe punishment than what you could give on the state level?
Well, one, New York's not going to give anyone the death penalty, period, as a state or as Manhattan.
So why not hand it off?
Because
he's already charged. He's already indicted.
His job is justice. That's his job, right? And we have gotten to the point in America where, I mean, frankly, I think a lot of New Yorkers are just sick of the tidal wave of crime. Of course, they're supporting Zohran Mamdani, who said crazy things like he's not going to prosecute misdemeanors and all.
I think he's going to be the next mayor of New York.
Yeah, it is. It's absolute idiocy. If you would have told me that 24 years after 9/11, that we would have a guy that supports radicals like Hassan Piker, who said New York deserved 9/11. That's the Zohran's little buddy podcaster. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But that obviously is an argument for a few weeks from now, and not an argument for today.
Inshallah, Allah will decide if he's to be the mayor. If he's not to be the mayor, it's in God's hands and the voters.
Well, on Fox Faceoff, we tell the raw, unadulterated truth.
Fox Soul Faceoff.
We are given the platform here with no fear.
Always comes out swinging.
We should be saying, hey, stop shooting and killing people.
Nothing held back.
They wanted black hip-hop moguls and artists to continue the feud.
No punches pulled.
And shut the hell up. You interrupt me all the time.
Tune into the show where opinions collide.